We have already said that the folly of leaders transform what could be a hospitable planet into a place of hell for millions of people. The military leader of the world, the United States, invests in armaments enough money to cover many times social security or to cover the rest of the world, not only with bread but with cakes. So it's why we call this show Cake Waltz. The waltz of dollar will end up in the hands of what Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex. I have with me again Ridge, and we are going to see how the world, the United States and the world, are spending the money that could serve as bread for many people. So tell me, what is basically the budget of the United States in armaments? I see you have a smile saying that.
I've researched with the CIA database and also the Stockholm Institute that studies world armaments. To be fair to all sides of this question, I think every country in the world accounts for their military expenditures differently. The CIA fact book seems to like to look at percentage of gross domestic product as for military expenditures, whether it's 2%, 3%, 4% of their total economy. Other countries, some European countries, calculate their expenditures differently, and they merge other costs into their defense costs. For example, if you're a smaller country, you might have your national police, which would be similar to a state police organization, also in your national defense budget. So there's some study required on each country. The CIA's approach is reasonable as far as a general overview of expenditure by country. Other countries that have more mixed economies than, say, the traditional European or American economies also have a lot of fuzzy areas. For example, the Chinese have defense industries that are integrated with their domestic industries, and it's difficult to determine where they really are accounting for all of their money. It's difficult in the United States to determine where all of our money is accounted for. Many of the countries in the world finance their defense budgets with deficit spending. This causes an ongoing tax, also causes foreign debt. Much of the foreign debt of the United States, much of the debt of the United States is, which is $138 billion, which we pay each year in principal and interest to borrow money to keep our government going. Much of that is to fund military expenditures. So right now, we believe that the expenditures for the military in the United States is $479 billion.
Which is half of the total budget.
Yeah, that's equal to the defined expenditures of all of the military in the rest of the world combined. There are 169 countries that have some military expenditure. So the United States expenditure is similar to all 168 countries combined. But again, you have to look at this, the cost of our military versus the cost of, say, a Chinese military or the cost of a Venezuelan military and Argentine military, where they have different pay scales, different costs for acquiring material. So the world is spending a lot of money on military. What we spend $470 billion on, maybe we could buy the same for $200 billion in another country.
Yeah, but
depending on the difference of economies.
We also give half of that money goes to subcontractors. Half of the money of the budget goes to subcontractors.
Yeah, but it is accounted for as part of our own economy. The CIA report said that only 2% goes to foreign contractors. Now, the problem is that they contract with multinationals, and it's, again, you don't really know how everything's accounted for. Suffice to say that the world is concerned by the amount of expenditures being made by us and by Europe on military expenditures. The Peace Corps was the most popular foreign aid program the United States has. I've been in Washington recently. We're trying to get more money for the Peace Corps. The Peace Corps has about 7,000 volunteers. We have 40 new countries requesting Peace Corps volunteers. A Peace Corps volunteer costs $42,000 a year. We have 40 countries requesting Peace Corps volunteers. We have 14 to 20,000 qualified applicants willing to join the Peace Corps to go to those countries. And we don't have enough, the Peace Corps doesn't have enough money to add one more country. The cost of the Peace Corps, the whole Peace Corps, that operates in 79 countries, is a day and a half of the war. The Peace Corps total budget is $312 million, and it's our most popular program.
So may I ask you one question? What exactly does the Peace Corps? You're a volunteer, so at the moment where you volunteer, what happens to you and what are you going to do and what are the specialties? What is the Peace Corps exactly? Explain this to us what it is.
The Peace Corps is started by Kennedy as an idea to use young people, primarily young people, with their skills to go work with people all over the world. And the Peace Corps did that. We were in 80 countries at one time.
But so it's an array of people going from what? From just worker to specialist on medicine, engineers?
Yeah. When I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ecuador, I coached the national track team. We had engineers there running the electric system. We had accountants doing the credit co-op banks, accounting for them so they could have farm and commercial lending. We had agronomists raising rice. We had agronomists working on shrimp farming. We had people raising pigs. We had people dealing with irrigation. We had artisans working with the, in those days we had working with Indian artisans so that they could sell their cloth on the New York garment market. We had people working with municipal governments. But so the volunteers usually earn the same as the local school teacher. So most Peace Corps volunteers are paid about $100 a month. They live in the local villages all over the world.
So, but what you are telling me, in fact, is that the Peace Corps doesn't get enough money, doesn't have the money to really...
Well, they do very well on their $42,000 per volunteer. That includes all the costs. That's medical, transportation, training, salary, in-country staff. You have to realize the rest of the world works on a different economy than the United States. Like if all of the Peace Corps volunteers were government workers, you would be spending millions of dollars. But the whole concept of the Peace Corps is it's a joint program. It's a partnership between a local government and the U.S. government.
But that is something that should be more developed rather than building of spray or what are the new things that we are going to develop to do what?
One of the new jet planes cost $300 million. For one jet plane, we could double the Peace Corps.
And may I ask a question? To do what with that airplane? To bomb whom? To
I don't know.
Shoot at whom? to get the terrorists, we need to build off spray and things like that.
Well, the thing about people-to-people programs is that you deal with people as people, not as an object to be bombed or to be killed or to be misunderstood.
Yes, but so far we have explained that basically planes were used to supposedly the military, but not only the military. If you look at few stories, and the bombs goes as much to the civilian populations than the army populations. So why are we developing? Not non-stop. Do we develop more and more and more sophisticated, whatever it is, airplanes? To do what? In fact, to do what? Does that bring any peace on Earth? Not at all. So we spend billions, absolutely billions, on things which will be absolutely eventually of no use. Why do we have so many aircraft carriers? To do what? So when
they were designed for a different time.
Yeah, but we are still in use, and we still are producing new things and new planes and even new landmines. You remember the story of the landmines? Come on.
I've seen landmines.
So why are we developing that? To do what?
It seems like we are developing it to destroy villagers.
The landmine stories, you know the landmine stories.
Sure.
Tell us few things about the landmines. How many landmines? You have small countries like that, few inches, they own 1 million landmines.
ខ្ញុំដាំអីមិនកើតហើយទីមួយទៀតការរកស៊ីអីមិនកើតខ្ញុំអត់ចង់បានអំណោយអ្វីពីអង្គការណាផ្សេងទេគ្រាន់តែថាចង់បានដីឲ្យបានឲ្យដល់វានៅអស់តែដីខ្ញុំគឺខ្ញុំដើម្បីបង្កើតផលចិញ្ចឹមមកប៉ុនកូនជៀសវាងឲ្យផុតពីការគ្រោះថ្នាក់ដោយសារមីនដូច្នេះខ្ញុំអត់ចង់ទាមទារអ្វីទេបាទសូមអរគុណ
During the war between Argentina and England about 16 years ago, I guess it was, the British island, I forgot the name of it, they were afraid of being invaded by the Argentine army. So they covered their whole island with landmines. And so they blow up sheep all the time. The mines are still there. We had, in 1997, we had a World Landmine Conference, and almost all the countries in the world signed up not to use landmines anymore and to start an eradication program to remove existing landmines. The United States did not sign the treaty.
شو واقعات میفهمیم نفرهای ما بسیار تلف شد مال ما بسیار تلف شد این دیگه واقعاتش است بگوش که تو خطراتی برای ماست که آزاد گشت و گذار کردن نمیتونیم برای میگردیم ما کشت زراعت که میکنیم با مشکلات با ترس با لرز برای ما باز که مشکلات پیش میشه ما رو ماین نزنن این سایه از ما بود سایه ماینکاری شده ما استفاده کرده از این نمیتونیم
We spend $90 million a year on landmine development.
To do what?
We have designed a landmine that is a cluster landmine that's made out of plastic, so it's not detectable by metal detectors. And they're anti-personnel mines.
To use where and to do what?
Most of the landmines are in jungle areas, border areas hard to patrol. And in Southeast Asia, everybody's upset because right now a lot of the baby elephants are the ones that usually step on landmines because they get off the track. Most of the people killed by landmines now are children, young people. In Ecuador, there was a war between Ecuador and Peru about 14 years ago, and they put a bunch of landmines in the jungle between Ecuador and Peru. The problem is nobody knew where the boundary was. So the maps were not clear. So there's about, I think there's something on the order of 1 million landmines there, and they blow up people all the time. And there's a landmine eradication program. One of the most, and What you know that you're in landmine areas when you see children with prosthesis. It usually blows off the leg of a child. The problem with landmines is that it takes 190 probes before you find one landmine. So if you have 1 million landmines, you got to stick something in the ground 190 million times to get the landmine up.
So why do we develop more sophisticated landmines? Tell me the reason for it. So many millions, billions spent in the new plane, the new landmine, and for what?
I don't know. It's the cheapest defense that an underfunded country has as far as their military. There are many landmines in Iraq, for example. There are many landmines in Iran.
Yeah, but
and they're blowing up people all the time.
They're blowing people, they're blowing kids. Like, after World War I and World War II, there were German things absolutely everywhere, and even today there are accidents with that. So it's
in Belgium there is ordnance still blowing up from the First World War. I think what we're going to do later is maybe have a program on landmine, but we do have a lot of interest. There is a program in this hemisphere to eradicate landmines from Central America, from the Central American wars during the Reagan administration.
So we can talk about landmines, sure, because that's a very specific thing which still kills so many people. So it's why I say, in fact, that if we want this planet to be at peace once, and that the survival of the planet, we have to ask for the reduction, if not the complete eradication of all the armies in the world. And
or we have to redirect the armies.
Yeah, we have more people who want peace than people who want war.
There is a reason for security. And I think that security has to be measured against all these other factors. I don't think that security requires that we spend most of the world's excess dollars or francs or whatever on war. But
a third of the world is considered as starving. A third of the world. So during that time, we spend our money on new mines, landmines. So where is the logic into that? And there will be never any peace on earth as long as the situation will be like that people are starving and people have too much. That will be in the future. Absolutely, we will never be able to keep that level without any wars, without any, it's impossible.
Well, you can also buy an AK-47 for $27.
Yeah.
Any place in the world.
Why not? Okay, so that's definitely your conclusion today. This show being broadcast in December is our occasion to scratch a few cents out of our pockets and send Christmas cards around the world to let other people know that we, Americans, do not forget them.
Christmas is the gift-giving time par excellence, and gifts are an exchange of love. With its supposedly 85% of Christians, America is the most Christian nation in the world, and as such, should give the good example of love to the rest of the world. following without any hesitation the words of Christ. And what did Christ say? Christ said, "You have heard what it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be the sons of your Father in heaven."
America to Iraq with love. Merry Christmas. America to Iran with love. Merry Christmas. America to North Korea with love. Merry Christmas. America to the daily victims of the weaponry made in the USA. With love, Merry Christmas. America to the poor of the world. With love, Merry Christmas. America to the daily victims of epidemics and starvation. With love, Merry Christmas.
And so the world spent last year some 944 billions in armaments. At $1 apiece, that would make 944 billion cakes that we could distribute to the world as Christmas gifts. But nobody can have it all, so we will keep our aircraft carriers and they will keep their hunger.
With love in my heart, I, Uncle Sam, add to my wishes of Merry Christmas my imperial desire of peace on earth to everyone. But do not forget, be good. Do exactly as I tell you.
The joy that Christmas brings, it is the joy of what? To see the star of Bethlehem that shone on Mary's son. That shone on Mary's son, good friends, that shone on Mary's son. To see the star of Bethlehem that shone on Mary's son.
O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie above thy deep and dreamless sleep. The silent stars go by.